The following program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Finance of America Mortgage LLC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1071, AZBK 0910184. Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit AbsoluteLoans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information. You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Finance of America Mortgage. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome to The Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, September 24th show. I am your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I've built a network of elite industry professionals every week sharing their knowledge and expertise for you, my listener. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but I'm here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that I have on my show today. Please call at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or you can always go online at themoneyhour.com. And the lineup for my show today, Patrick Hayes with Superior Slabjacking. Increase your home's value and curb appeal with an alternative to concrete replacement. Save time, money, and better to our environment with slabjacking. Also in studio, I have Joe Maassen with Caring Transition of South Puget Sound. Resources if you're downsizing, decluttering, senior relocation, or need for an estate sale. And my last guest in studio, first time in studio, is Seth Gililland with MassMutual Seattle, protecting your home with disability insurance. That is the lineup. Very excited for my guests. All males in studio. That's always a little bit fun for me as your female host. So it'll be a great day. And let's go ahead and start out today's show, as always, with a little money chat.
Money.
A lot of things going on in the appraisal market. I've brought a couple topics in regarding appraisals. This is if you're looking at purchasing property. I know you need an appraisal when you're refinancing as well, but really want to focus on purchase an FHA. FHA is a loan program that's available for a lower down payment assistance, or if you have challenging credit, you do not need to be a first-time home buyer. You can buy a home up to over $500,000 for a 3.5% down payment, so it's not for a lower purchase price. But there are some restrictions on FHA that you may not see on conventional. And I just want to go through how an FHA appraiser looks at the property. Some of these are going to apply to conventional, a lot are not going to. But it's a conversation that came up with some of my realtor partners. And so I thought it would be a great topic to bring into studio, whether you're one of my real estate partners listening to the show or consumer out there. FHA is primarily concerned that everything in the house function properly and that there are no health and safety issues. The basic concept for meeting FHA minimum requirements is that everything must work as was designed to work. So for an example, a window that is supposed to open must open, and a built-in appliance should do what the appliance is supposed to do. And if you have sliding glass doors with a lock on the handle, the lock should work. So these little things that may not seem like an issue, there are things that an appraiser for an FHA loan would need to call out. Now, here's a general list of what the FHA appraiser is going to be looking for during his or her inspection. Utilities should be turned on so that the appraiser can test the system and the appliances. Appliance must function properly. There should be proper drainage around the perimeter of the house. The heating unit must be in working order, and AC if applicable. Water pressure must be adequate for the house. Appraisers flush toilets, they turn on faucets and ensure that both the hot and cold water are working. The water heater must be working order and strapped accordance to local code. The attics and crawl space are to be viewed and at minimum from the shoulder by the appraiser. When viewing the attic, appraisers must ensure that there are vents, no damage, no exposure to frayed wires, and the sunlight is not beaming through. Now, when inspecting a crawl space, appraisers make sure that there are no signs in standing water or any other foundational support issues. Excessive debris in the attic or crawl space should be removed. Now, paint must not be chipping, peeling, or flaking on homes built before 1978 because of the damage of the lead-based paint. Lead was used to paint prior to 1978. However, there must be no defective paint or bare wood for properties built after 1978 because defective paint impacts the economic longevity of the property. Now, defective paint should be scraped and repainted with no wood chips and soil. Electrical outlets must work. Outlets should have a cover plate also. Toilets must be flush and mounted. Any active termite infestation needs to be cured. Minor cosmetic issues such as stained carpet or a need to interior paint are okay. The house does not have to be perfect, but there are issues that impact health and safety on a long-term economic visibility of the property. Then those issues must be cured. Windows must be open and must be able to open and close, and they cannot be broken. Mirror cracked can be okay so long as there's not an issue with the safety, soundness, and security. No dangling wires from missing fixtures or anywhere else. FHA doesn't require the air conditioning, but if present, the system should work as intended. Smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are required. As required by local code. The firewall from the garage to the house should be intact. Missing sheetrock or pet door installed in door or lack of self-closing hinges, hollow door could pose some safety issues. A roof should not be leaking and needs to have at least 5 years of the economic life left on the property. So these are just a few things that the appraiser is going to be looking for. So the takeaway for FHA is just make sure that the little things are not left unattended to, because what will happen is the appraiser will get out there, will have a long list of things called. These are really easy things that could be fixed and mended prior to the appraiser going out to the property and save on a lot of delays, as well as save on additional costs that may be incurred. That's my money chat. Coming up next, I have Patrick Hayes with Superior Slabjacking. Is your concrete shifting, sinking, or unsafe? I have a solution that can save you 60% or more over removal or replacement of cost, or my guest does, right here at 11:50 a.m. KKNW after this short break.
Do you need to diversify your investment portfolio? Real estate can be a very solid investment, and Seattle is one of the strongest real estate markets in the country. The secret to making wise decisions is having a proven real estate investment expert by your side. Holly Furin of RE/MAX Junction is no ordinary real estate broker. She has more than 2 decades of real estate experience with sales and property management. She can help you navigate the booming Seattle real estate market to find golden properties, houses or condos that are best suited to lease as a yearly residence or vacation rental. Whether you want a short-term investment or one that generates income for years, Holly Furin can help you find the best property and negotiate the purchase. Then she'll market your home to prospective renters and screen tenant applications. By standing between you and the tenant, emotion is removed from the equation. You're not looking for a new best friend, you're looking for someone who will pay the rent on time, maintain the property, and be a respectful neighbor. During her 20 years as a property manager, Holly Furin has never evicted one of her pre-screened renters. Her tenants' rent checks have never gone more than 30 days past due. A good real estate investment provides monthly cash income while steadily building equity that you can cash in when you sell or use as a home equity line of credit. During your free consultation with RE/MAX Junction, Holly will discuss your immediate needs and long-term goals. She'll deliver a comprehensive real estate investment plan custom-tailored to work for you.
I'm Holly Furin with RE/MAX Junction. If you're interested in investing in Seattle area real estate, call me today at 206-766-8400 at extension 130. That's 206-766-8400 at extension 130. Sign up for my newsletter at www.hollyfurin.com. That's www.hollyfurin.com.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, September 24th show. I'm here to empower our community, providing you with opportunities and solution when it comes to your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but you can always call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com to ask any questions for myself, your host, or the guest that I have in studio today. In studio right now, we'll have a conversation with Patrick Hayes with Superior Slabjacking, and today it's all about slabjacking. Patrick, thank you so much for coming back in studio.
Thanks for having me back, Tina. It's great to be here.
And a little bit about Patrick. Patrick is VP of Superior Slabjacking. His senior officer of the building industry of Washington, served as director for state association for 8 years and currently on the board of directors of the Master Builders Association of King County and Snohomish County. And just to start out for my listeners that are new to the show or ones that have may hear our conversation before, but just a reminder to explain slabjacking and what is that all about?
Sure. Hey, before I do that, Tina, can I congratulate you again on your book?
Yes, you can.
I read your book and thoroughly enjoyed it and was inspired by it. So congratulations. Great job.
Thank you, Patrick. And if you're listening, you want to know where to get my book, it's called Journey With Me by Tina Mitchell, and it's on Amazon, paperback, and Kindle. Thank you, Patrick.
You bet.
So back to slabjacking. Explain to my listeners a little bit about that.
Sure. Slabjacking is a process where we raise sunken concrete back to at or near original elevation. And what we do is we drill holes through the sunken concrete about every 4 feet apart, hydraulically pump a cement slurry under pressure, and it's the pressure that forces the slab back up, and we constantly are putting additional material in so that when we're done, you don't have any air pockets at all. It's completely filled with our material. At the same time that we're lifting, if there's any further compaction to occur, we're compacting at the same time as well. So because of that, we're able to guarantee our work against settling, against everything except for earthquakes, for as long as you own the property.
Yeah, it's pretty. And I have to say, because I've had you in studio a few times, and our engineer producer, Gary, that's with us here every week, he hired your company because it was, so exciting to hear everything that that your company does. So can you share the level of expertise that your team has?
Oh, sure. Ryan is our crew chief, and he has been raising sunken concrete for, I think, 22 years now.
Long time.
A long time. And that's all we do is raise sunken concrete. So, and he is a perfectionist. So he makes sure that he does the job the way that he would do it if he was doing it at his house. Yeah. And I think, Gary, that you'll agree that when he came to your house, not only is he very professional, but he will leave the surrounding area cleaner than it was when we got there.
It was. Everything was wonderful before and after. He cleaned up, made me everything feel comfortable and did a great job.
Great, thank you.
And what about the geographic area, Patrick, that you guys service?
We typically like to focus in the Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond, Renton, Auburn, Kent, Seattle area, but we will go from Blaine to Olympia. Wow. We go from Wenatchee to Friday Harbor.
So you've got quite a play of distance that you'll go.
We will. And I was asked earlier if we'll go to Shelton, and if the price is right, we will. But that's probably not going to be a good option.
A little too not cost effective. So let's get into that. Typical cost of slabjacking, and how does that compare with the cost of removing and replacing concrete for those that missed the chime in from commercial?
Sure. Typically, we're going to be about 60% of the cost of removal and replacement. And it's not...
That's a huge savings.
Yeah, and it's not just the cost savings, it's also the amount of time that you go without your concrete if you have it removed and replaced. So typically you can have your concrete removed fairly quickly, but then when it's re-poured, you need to have it set up typically for about 5 days before you want to walk on it.
Yes.
With slabjacking, you can walk on your concrete within a half an hour, 45 minutes of when we're done. So it's much cleaner, simpler, faster, and environmentally responsible.
So let's talk about environmentally safe. How is it different?
Well, we use materials that are organic materials. I know that there are other options out there where there are foams and other chemicals. We're not into the chemical solution. I'm a certified green professional, and we just like to make sure that we have balance.
So, Patrick, how would an average homeowner know when it's best for slabjacking versus removing and replacing the problem slabs?
They're not, unless they talk to somebody who's going to give them an honest opinion.
And you guys go out and you do free consultations to people that aren't sure what to do.
Absolutely, all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I'm out looking at a particular piece of concrete, I will mention to the person, were you aware that this other piece of concrete has settled also? And it's like, oh, no, they haven't. And why would they? Because they're not really trained to notice that.
Makes total sense. So if you're selling your home, and are there times where you would not want to do slabjack prior to putting the house on the market?
Yes, and
why is that?
Well, I always suggest that the homeowner work with their real estate agent to determine what the most appropriate course of action is. Sometimes your walkway is broken up to the point where it does not make sense to raise it. It makes more sense to remove it and replace it.
Got it.
When that's the case, it might be that the new homeowner doesn't want concrete at all. They might want Trex or gravel or something else. And so I'd like to help give people a lot of different options, and slabjacking may be one of those options. But when you're selling your home, the thing about our warranty is we're going to guarantee our work for as long as you own the home.
Yes. So if they hire you, as soon as they sell the house, that guarantee doesn't transfer to the new owner?
We will give a 3-year transferable warranty to the new owner. Yes. And the reason it's 3 years is because we know that about 99% of all settling is going to occur in the first 3 years.
Got it.
But we also like to suggest that the purchaser be the person to hire us to do the work, so that the warranty is for as long as they own the home.
Makes sense.
Doesn't always work that way. But there are also times where we've been asked to come out and look at concrete, and there's tree roots and other things. And again, it's the purchaser might not want concrete. So why spend the money if you're not going to get the value out of it?
So, Patrick, what types of concrete issues can be repaired using slabjacking?
Well, anytime that you have flat work, so like a sidewalk, front porch, patio, swimming pool area, garage floor, basement floor, we don't do foundations. So it has to be kind of a flat work type situation, and we can lift any sunken concrete. A lot of times people will ask us, what can you do about tree roots? Well, tree roots is the opposite, where it's lifted by the tree. You can't make concrete resettle unless you cut the tree root. And then you go to your local hardware store and you get the stuff that you put on the root that makes wood decompose quickly. You put that on, and in about a year, the root will decompose and the concrete slab will settle back down to where it was originally.
Got it. So you got all of the different strategies that are necessary if slabjacking is not the right option, which is great. The experience behind to really counsel and coach into the right direction. So, Patrick, trip hazards are a real concern, especially for our more seasoned neighbors. So how does the cost of slabjacking compare with the removal and replacement?
Yeah, typically with a trip hazard, it's a longer section than you think it is that's settled. You only know that you can only see the portion where you actually trip. And generally that's going to be like an 8-foot section or a 12-foot section. So in order to fix that and to make it look aesthetically pleasing, slabjacking is the better solution, because if you remove and re-pour, then you're going to have a new pour next to an old pour. And again, we are typically about 60% of the cost of removal and replacement.
Okay. Now, we talked about the difference concrete. Once you get it in there, you got to wait for days before you can use it, whereas it's hours with slabjacking. But from the time that they make a decision to move forward, how long is it going to take? And is it damaging any of the plants? How soon is it ready to go, and what type of damage might there be?
There's not going to be any damage at all to any of your plants, to the siding. Sometimes what we see is people will have their house re-sided after their concrete settled. And when that happens, we have to have them remove the bottom parts of the siding to allow the concrete to come back up to where it was before.
Got it.
So, we identify all of those things ahead of time. There are times where people have to cut bushes back because they extend over the walkway or over the porch, but we're not going to do any damage at all to anything.
Got it. And drilling holes, how do you know how many that you're going to drill?
Well, I don't, but that's where Ryan comes in.
You're expert and that arena does, yeah.
Yes. Typically, we drill holes about every 4 feet apart. And the reason for that is we know that as we're pumping the material hydraulically, it's going to go about 2.5 feet. So, you go 2.5 feet one direction, 2.5 feet the other. So we do that so that we know that there's no void when we're done. And the other way that we know there's no void is if I drill a hole here and then 4 feet farther apart, I want to see material come out of the other holes at some point so that I know that we're actually forcing all the material out and that there's no void.
Makes sense. Let's shift over to Master Builders and how your company is intertwined and talk a little bit about Master Builders.
Sure. Master Builders Association of King and Snohomish Counties is the largest home builders association in the country. I also think it's the finest home builders association in the country. There are a number of benefits to our members to be members, and I think that from a consumer perspective, if you're hiring people to do your work and you're not hiring Master Builders members, you're probably doing yourself a disservice.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree, Patrick. Website that my listeners can go to request your services or that free consultation.
Sure, www.superiorslabjacking.com. And the phone number is 888-887-2473.
Wonderful. And you can always call the show as well to get connected with Patrick. Final advice for anyone that thinks that they might need your services.
Yeah, a lot of people wait until they're getting ready to sell their house before they raise their sunken concrete, and they come out and they see what we did and they say, why didn't I do that before? So I think, if you have the resources available, get the problem fixed as soon as possible. Get it fixed right the first time. I'm a big fan of doing things right the first time. Makes
total sense. I'm right there with you, Patrick. Thank you so much for joining me back in studio again.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Coming up next on the Money Hour, are you downsizing, decluttering, senior relocation, or need an estate sale? I have Joe Maassen with Caring Transitions of South Puget Sound right here at 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.
Hi, this is Ian Tolmie with Caring Transitions Seattle. Caring Transitions is the nation's largest professional network of estate sale, online auction, household relocation services. Whether you're moving across the country, around the corner, or simply downsizing and decluttering your home, Caring Transitions will reduce your mess and eliminate your stress. We're experts and we'll do what's right for your family. Call us today at 206-330-0878 or find us online at Caring Transitions Seattle. Thank you.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, September 24th show. My goal is to keep you up to date on the latest news and trends in our local economy. Keep me tuned in, and I will keep you informed. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. To talk with the guests that I have in studio, you can call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And right now I have in studio Joe Maassen with Caring Transitions of South Puget Sound. Resources if you're downsizing, decluttering, if you have a senior relocating or need assistance with estate sales. Joe, thank you so much for coming back and joining me in studio.
Thank you very much for having me again.
And a little bit about Joe. 1.5 years experience as a certified relocation and transition specialist, retired after 31 years in the military, 27 of those full-time for the Washington Army National Guard. So Joe, just to inform my listeners who may not be familiar with Caring Transitions, what services do you offer?
Well, we run the gamut from doing senior relocations, helping them downsize out of the home that they've been in for a long time. If they're ready to downsize or right size, if you will, we can help them with that. So we help them with the downsizing, the things that won't fit in their new residence. We can help them liquidate, and we can do that a couple different ways. We can do the online auction, or we can have a physical estate sale for them. And then all those things that don't sell, well, we can do a property cleanup so they can turn it over to a realtor.
So you could take care of all of that in the transition time. And I like the right sizing.
Well,
downsizing, right sizing.
It's right sizing, and what a lot of our clients really appreciate is the fact that they only have to explain it once, and we can take care of the project from front to back, and they don't have to explain it to a number of different companies. They're just dealing with us.
That's a good point. Very efficient way to transition into your new place. So how many Caring Transition franchises are there nationwide, and how many are there located in Washington?
Well, Caring Transition started in 2006, and right now we're up to 180 locations nationwide.
Wow.
In the Seattle area, we've got Jennifer Black. On the east side, there's Michelle Green. I take care of the South Puget Sound. And there's also an office in Spokane.
Okay, so a lot of offices nationwide, and got a good coverage here in Washington State. So what advice do you have for my listeners that may be planning on downsizing in the near future?
The greatest advice I could give is for them to start early. Have an idea of where they're going to wind up, where they're going to move to, and that helps us figure out how much of their property they can take with them. What furniture will they have room for? What's important to them to take, and will it fit? And so we can help them with the space plan. And it's probably really important for the family to have their family involved. So talk to the kids, talk to other relatives. So the things that aren't going to fit into the new residence, what's important to be passed on, family heirlooms and such.
Yeah.
And then all those things that are left, we can help them liquidate them. And I know that you've had Jennifer Black on your show before and talked quite a bit about online auctions. That's one of our specialties. And we can do that online auction, or we can do a physical estate sale.
And it's great with all the experience of all the people that you have worked with and helped in this transition of downsizing, right sizing, that you know all of the challenges and things that are going to come up. And so you could advise them that this is, talk with the family. These are the things that you need to do to make this as efficient and smooth as possible.
Absolutely. And a lot of times people aren't familiar with what order should they do things. Oftentimes they want to get rid of everything before they've even decided where they're going to go. And then it's too late. They've already let some of their property go, and when it turns out they would have had room for it.
So, Joe, once a family has decided to downsize, what qualities should they look for when considering a company to help them through this potentially challenging process?
Well, there are several questions that they can ask, but one of the first might be whether or not that company is licensed, bonded, and insured. Also, take a look and see what certifications they have, if any. Anybody working for Caring Transitions is a certified relocation and transition specialist. My office, we're also part of NASM, the National Association for Senior Move Managers. In addition to looking for certifications, ask them how they handle security. Another thing that you might look for is probably best to check the quality of their work. Ask them if they're going to be holding a sale in the near future, and come unannounced and just see how they're conducting their operation.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, and it's always good to ask for introductions, referrals to clients that look at their testimonials and see what type of service they've provided for their past families. What about maximizing the return when downsizing? What are some tips that you can share there, Joe?
Well, we take a look. We do a free consultation with the family, and we'll take a look at what they have to liquidate. What are those things that aren't going to go to the new residents? And oftentimes, the family's got quite a few collectibles that would do well in an online auction, because we can ship those all across the country. And we're not just dependent on who can make it to that sale on that particular weekend. And so that's oftentimes someone can probably double their return on an online auction versus a physical estate sale.
So you'd mentioned Jennifer Black and Ian have both been in the studio here with me, and I've talked about the advantages of online auction in previous shows. So can you tell my listeners, share a little bit more about your other services to help families downsize?
Well, one of the key services we provide before we get to that point where they're doing the actual liquidation is helping seniors move. And so it can be a very stressful experience, and so we can help them with that. One of the ways we can do that is by doing a space plan, going to the new residence, measuring it, doing a 2D drawing, and actually measure the pieces of furniture and show them different options of how that could be set up. So then, once we've got that plan done on moving day, we pack them up the day before, contract with a mover because we're not licensed movers.
Okay.
We'll arrange all of that for them, and then we'll get them unpacked in their new place.
Nice.
And so the next day, they're just ready to go. All of the packing boxes are gone. That curio cabinet is set up in the same way in the corner as it was in their living room. Maybe that painting is just over the couch the way it was. So we try and make it as comfortable for them in their new place.
So, and if you think about that, if you've recently been in a move and you think about not just the time loss, but the emotional part of that that's attached to the time and the stress that you have and damage and all kinds of things. Like you said, you can help to figure out what's going to fit in there. Imagine you're buying the wrong stuff that's not going to fit in there so much. So definitely worth the cost associated to having a professional do that for you. So let's talk about sharing maybe one of your more challenging clients, and what did they do wrong, Joe, and what could they have done differently for that to be a success?
Well, it's not so much that they did it wrong. They were just overwhelmed. They had to be out of a 2,250 square foot house, and they were downsizing to 950 square feet.
Okay.
And although we talked about it, about what they needed to do, they were, once again, just overwhelmed. And so had to bring
overwhelmed. It sounds like maybe because they weren't releasing and allowing.
There were some physical disabilities that were limiting factors for them, and it was just a daunting task. And so my team was able to come in and just work with them room by room, and get things figured out. It was very stressful for them, and so we just wanted to help, and we did. So everything worked out in the end, but it was kind of tough going.
So is there anything, did they allow enough time for that process? Is there anything that could have made it a little bit easier? I mean, I would imagine part of it is releasing to allow you guys to do what you do. Obviously preparing to make sure that you're given the appropriate time that you need to do what you do. For
people that have the capacity to make the decision, a rational decision, to do that in a timely manner, it all works.
Yes.
But there are just times when life gets in the way, they weren't able to make those decisions.
Okay.
And so we, they called us in and we were able to help them through. And they waited to the point where there wasn't time to do one of those liquidations we talked about.
Got it.
It's optimal to do, the online auction or a physical estate sale. At this point, I was able to find a furniture buyer to come in, but everything else that wouldn't fit in their new place, they wound up donating to a charity.
So let's talk about the cost associated to your services.
Certainly. One of the great things about our service is that often at the end of a job, we're giving a check back after our services have been paid for, whether it's the senior move, doing the auction, or a physical estate sale for the family. When it's all said and done, I haven't had a situation yet where the family got a bill. More often than not, they're getting a check back, and they're happy about that.
Yeah, but getting money back is always a positive thing. So what if I have a listener right now that's thinking, you know what, I'm just going to do it on my own, everything. What would be your advice to them?
Well, I did a consultation just a couple weeks ago, and they decided, after I told them how much our services were, because obviously got to cover that labor, they said, we'll do it ourselves. I said, great, thanks for giving me the opportunity. Let me send you some tips on things to be successful. And once I sent them the list, they looked it over and they called me back and they hired me right away because they said,
that is awesome.
to do this well, this is just going to be too much work.
Yes. And you have to really consider that the time that it costs you to do that. And again, I mentioned earlier the emotional process of going through that and the mistakes that are going to be made when you are not a professional in doing it. So let's share with my listeners, because they love stories, a success story.
Well, we've just had one where a couple was getting ready to downsize, move down to Arizona. They did not want a physical estate sale because they really weren't excited about having strangers walk through their home.
Okay.
And that was important to them. So we were able to do an auction for them. And the auction realized double what a physical estate sale would have done for them. And they were quite pleased.
Wow. So what was the reason that you decided to come over to Caring Transitions?
Well, I had the opportunity to watch other family members do the downsizing and what an emotional process that was.
Sure.
And I've got some skills at project management, and it just looked like a great way to help people.
And Joe, your experience in the military for such a long time, I mentioned before, and thank you for your service. How did that prepare you and help in what you're doing today with Caring Transitions?
Probably the key was a lot of project management, working, identifying a timeline, things that had to be accomplished within a given timeline, and what people and resources were available, and working within a budget.
So owning your own franchise, what's your favorite part? I know there's many.
You know, when I retired from the military, I don't think I really wanted to work this hard. It's a lot of work getting your own business going, I'll tell you. And but I think I'm going to do this for the next 10 years and make it a success, and then I'll pass it on to some other retiree.
It sounds like a great plan. And outside of hanging out here with me, how else do you get your clients, Joe?
Well, I try and network with different senior providers, and it's a great way. And also, realtors are fantastic. They're a great resource for me.
Yeah, and so for all of the realtors, because I have a large listener base, especially on my podcast, of real estate professionals, because I work with a lot of them in our local market here. And if one of them is listening, what advice and shout out would you give in a call to action for them and how you can help them?
Well, if they ever have a home that they want to be able to sell, but they can't do it because the folks just aren't ready to downsize, they need some assistance, and perhaps the family's not available to help them through that, Caring Transitions is a great resource.
Wonderful. And how do my clients reach you, my listeners?
You can find us on the web at caringtransitions.com.
Wonderful. Joe, thank you so much. Make sure you say hi to Jennifer and Ian for me.
I sure will. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Coming up next in the Money Hour, how can you protect your home with disability insurance? Seth Gililland with MassMutual Seattle, right here on 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.
Do you want to increase your professional effectiveness and create long-term clients who bring their friends with them? Sandy McCalla with Etiquette for You takes pride in helping professionals and companies deepen their people skills and enhance their corporate culture. Sandy is a certified etiquette consultant, speaker, and mentor with over 45 years in service industries who specializes in building successful track records.
To get more information on a customized plan for yourself or your organization, you can call me directly at 425-209-9952 or reach me online at etiquetteforyou.com. Again, that is Sandy McCalla, Etiquette for You at 425-209-9952 or etiquetteforyou.com. I look forward to connecting with you soon.
Never imagined your marriage would be ending? Not sure if you're going to be the weekend parent? How long is the divorce process going to take, and who can you trust? The attorneys at Humphrey & Associates understand that these are just a few questions that may be going through your mind. You're not alone, and they've helped many people in your same position. Their mission is to serve you while you get through this difficult time. Divorce and parenting plans are difficult enough. Working with an attorney shouldn't be. Humphrey & Associates is committed to providing affordable legal services that you can trust. You need good, solid legal advice that isn't going to cost a fortune. Worry no more. To schedule your free consultation, just call 206-946-8580 or go online to halegalteam.com.
Hi, this is Vincent Humphrey. Go ahead and give us a call today at 206-946-8580, or you can reach us online at halegalteam.com. Again, that's 206-946-8580, or online at halegalteam.com. Love to hear from you.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, September 24th show. I am committed to providing you knowledge needed to be successful in every area of your finances. Knowledge is power, and that's what you'll receive from listening to the show today. If you heard my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or go online at themoneyhour.com to discuss anything regarding money, any potential guests you would like to see in studio, or best to connect with the guests that I have in studio. Right now, Seth Gililland with MassMutual Seattle, protecting your home with disability insurance. And I'm really excited, Seth, first of all, to have you in studio for the first time. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, Tina.
And I'm excited for the first time in my 6 years of having the show to actually talk on this topic. So very excited to have a conversation with you today. And a little bit about Seth. Seth is a financial professional working with MassMutual Seattle. He helps individuals and families protect themselves from unnecessary risk with personal strategies designed to support their long-term financial plans. His main job is to help his clients make informed decisions in a way that feels right to them. Seth also helps business owners with proper planning to protect, grow, and transfer their business in a manner that they choose. In the Money Hour segment today, again, Seth talked about protecting your income with disability insurance. So, Seth, why do you need to protect your income?
Well, you don't hesitate to protect your valuable assets like your home, your car, and your life. So why not protect your income? Your ability to earn a living, more than your car, more than your home or any other big ticket item, is going to be by far your most valuable asset. That's what pays for your essential expenses like housing, food, utilities, transportation. And it also is what's going to help support members of your family. So tuition, childcare, medical bills. Without your income, all that other stuff is going to go away.
Yes.
So when you add your income up throughout your career, it's going to be your single biggest asset. And even if you don't think your annual salary is that big, that large, over the course of your career, of your lifetime, it's going to add up. So if you've got, for example, a 35-year-old who is making $50,000 a year, until retirement, he's going to be making $1.5 million. Now, that's not even accounting for raises and bonuses.
Sure. Okay.
So compare that to the 2016 median single-family price of a home in Seattle.
Yes.
That's $560,000. So what's greater, $560,000 or $1.5 million?
Sure.
Okay. And then which one of those are people most likely to protect?
Makes total sense. So, Seth, let's talk about the risk that we're protecting our income from.
Yeah, well, imagine this. What would happen to your standard of living if, due to an illness or an injury, you were unable to go to work tomorrow? So if you had to stop working due to a disability, the income you're earning now is simply not going to be there anymore. If you become seriously ill or injured and couldn't work for a long period, it'd have a major impact on your financial well-being and your family's well-being. Sure. So you'd have to find another way to cover your living expenses and support the people who are depending on you. And that's where disability insurance, or DI, comes in.
So let's talk about disability insurance. What is it?
Yeah, disability insurance is protection for a portion of your income. So if you do become too sick or hurt to go to work, your DI benefit will provide you with access to that portion of your income. It can also protect your retirement goals by helping you meet your current financial obligations so that you don't have to tap into what you have saved for retirement. And with any luck, you'll never have to deal with a disability that keeps you from being able to go to work. But it is a good idea to have a plan in place so that if you ever did become disabled, you could still cover your expenses and provide for the people that are counting on you.
So, Seth, what are the chances that one of my listeners is going to need disability income?
Well, when you think about the kind of disability that would prevent you from going to work, most people think of a car accident or a catastrophic injury. So it's something that could happen, but probably won't happen to me. It'll happen to somebody else.
Sure.
And the reality is that 90% of disabilities are due to an illness and not an injury.
Yeah.
So you're looking at arthritis, back pain, neurological problems, cardiovascular illness. Those are all more common than injuries when it comes to disability claims. And as far as, what are the odds of this occurring? Well, people think, oh, maybe it's 1 in 50, it'll happen to me. When in fact, 1 in 4 20-year-olds will become disabled before they reach retirement age.
That is crazy. 1 in 4
that's right.
Under 20?
20-year-olds, yes.
20-year-olds,
20,
wow.
Yes. So your listeners probably know someone who's had to take some time off work for medical reasons, even if it's not permanent.
Yeah. So what about other options, Seth, besides disability insurance?
Well, yeah, in the event that you would experience a disability due to illness or injury, there are several sources of benefits that you may be able to access. For example, assistance from the government or assistance from your employer. However, there are limitations on those benefits, and they may not be sufficient to meet your income replacement needs. So, for example, one of those is workers' comp. So that's provided where if you become disabled, if something happens to you on the job site, then workers' comp from the state is going to kick in.
Yep.
But that's only if you are injured on the site, on the work site. And according to the National Safety Council, 73% of disabilities are not work-related.
Okay.
Okay. The other one is Social Security. So SSDI. That program is hard. It's hard to qualify for, and the average monthly benefit is $1,130. So that's not even going to cover my rent.
Exactly.
Right.
So let's say your employer does have disability insurance benefits. Are you going to have something in addition to that? Can it cover what's not getting covered by the employer's benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. So if you have benefits from your employer, that's group long-term disability insurance. So that's a helpful benefit. It provides a very essential layer, but there are some things to keep in mind. First, if you leave for another job, you may not be able to take that coverage with you. Your new employer may not provide the same benefit.
Sure.
And also, if your employer is paying for that policy, the benefits you receive once you become disabled, those are taxable.
Okay.
So, you mentioned there a gap between what your income is pre-disability and what your employer benefits would be. So that's if people are looking at their plans, they're going to see it typically is going to cover around 60% of their salary. So that is their salary. Does not include bonuses or commissions.
Just the base salary.
Just the base salary.
For me, I would be in a little bit of trouble if it doesn't count.
That's right. That's right. If you have a position where, like a realtor, you have a lot of
or a mortgage
commissions,
professional.
It's not going to include your gross income. It's only that base salary. So when 60% could really be 30%. So whatever the number is.
Yeah.
So what that is there's a gap. Whatever is less than 100%, that's going to be the gap that's going to be what you're looking to get covered. That's where an individual policy could come in and fill that gap.
Got it. So additional benefits of having an individual disability insurance policy compared to using the other options.
Well, the first value is that it's yours. It's yours to own.
Yep.
It's portable, so it doesn't matter if you leave your job, go somewhere else. That's
Moves with
following
ya.
you. Yes. It's as we mentioned, it can supplement the coverage, any group coverage that you already have. It doesn't have to be one or the other. The policy can be custom tailored to your specifications. So if you are making contributions to a 401k, those can also be included in your coverage.
Okay.
If accounting for growth in your salary over the course of your career, you can anticipate that and have your disability policy also include that growth, and provided that the premiums are paid, the policy is non-cancelable, so it goes on until age 65, and you don't have to worry about your coverage getting dropped or premiums getting hiked up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about, majority not really knowing the statistics, which is the case in many things. But, somebody might be saying, I'm just going to play the odds of not getting disabled. Why not just skip the disabled insurance? And if I do get disabled, I'll just go ahead and tap into my savings. So give advice to that person that might be listening to the show today.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going and playing the odds. All right, 3 and 4. That's not so bad. I'll take those. If I went down to Vegas, I'd take those odds. Yeah. But that still does leave you vulnerable. So that's assuming that you are going to have enough money set aside in your savings.
Yes.
And people are generally overestimating how much they have set aside. So think right now, if you have enough and you're saved in the bank to get by without going to work, without any income coming in for 1 to 2 months, you're already way better off than the average American. Even
though we all know you should have at least 6 months.
You should have. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
But most people do not.
Sure.
So if you don't have that cushion set in place, then you do need to look at some other options. So let's go down that path. Let's take a look at what does the reality of using personal savings look like to cover expenses during a disability. So say we've got a male, he's age 30, he's earning $75,000 a year. Of that, he's saving 5%, and he spends $4,000 a month on expenses. So if he becomes totally disabled, after 1 year of paying those expenses, he's wiped out 13 years of savings. Keeping in mind that the average disability is lasting a lot longer than 1 to 2 months or even a year.
Yeah.
So at MassMutual, we're seeing the average DI claim that we're paying is 4 years.
Okay.
So most people's savings are going to run out a long time before that. And as I mentioned, having to take extended time off from work due to an illness or injury is more common than people think. So if your benefits, your DI benefits, and your personal savings aren't enough to go the distance, you really do need to take a look at some other options.
Got it. So we've got a few minutes left here, and I want to ask that people may say that it sounds expensive. What does DI policy cost?
Well, when you're already paying for other kinds of insurance, for your home and your auto and life, it's hard to think about buying more. But a good way to frame it is to what DI costs versus what the benefit would be if you used it.
Okay.
So, really quickly, that 30-year-old man, now he's making $56,000 a year. He buys a DI policy. He's paying approximately $900 a year. Compare that to $750 for his coffee, his daily coffee.
Sure. Yep.
If he becomes totally disabled after a 90-day waiting period, he could receive $4,000 a month over 12 months. That's replacing 86% of his pre-disability after-tax income. And in that case, 1 year benefits will equal 52 years of premiums paid. So
it can sound like it could be a little complicated. So how do people find out what the right coverage amount would be for them?
Right. So consider a comprehensive assessment with a qualified financial professional.
Yep.
So you can call someone up. You can ask for a free policy review to see if in your plan there are any gaps in coverage. And you want to remember that which company you're choosing is going to make a difference, because this is something you want to have in place over many decades. So you want to make sure that if you do need it, the company is going to be around. So determine whether you can get coverage through your employer, whether you're looking at individual DI, whatever path you choose. You want to make sure that you have the appropriate amount of coverage, so that if you do become unable to go to work, you'll be able to get your expenses covered.
Wonderful. So all of you listening, if you don't have disability insurance, pick up the phone, give the show a call, go online and reach out. I'll get you connected with Seth. Seth, thank you so much for coming in and joining me in studio. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And this is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. Got to say goodbye to you today, but I'll be here same place, same time next weekend right here at 1150 AM KKNW. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
The preceding program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Finance of America Mortgage LLC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1071, AZBK 0910184. Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit AbsoluteLoans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information.